Okay, let's talk wireless channels real quick. Wi-Fi networks that operate on the 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz frequencies use different ranges of channels. And so let's talk about both of those. The 802.11n that runs on 2.4 gigahertz and also G and B have three different ranges, channels 1 through 5, 6 through 10, and 11. And at least that's the United States channels. It might go beyond that in other countries. For the CompTIA exam, you are interested in the United States channels that are used. The frequency ranges are listed here. Channel 1 is actually 2412 megahertz or 2.412 gigahertz. Channel 2 is 2417 megahertz, and so on. And it goes on that way through to channel 11, which is 2462 megahertz. So your range is between 2412 and it's really 2467, I believe, or 66 total for the range you can use. Now, what's important here? You want to select a channel, first of all, that doesn't conflict with other devices. Other devices might be using the same 2.4 gigahertz frequency, but most importantly, check wireless access points. So let's say you already have a wireless network running on channel 1, and you need to install a second wireless network. Well, you don't want that to be within 1 through 5 because those channels overlap, and you'll get some interference. So you want to put that second wireless network, that second wireless access point on either 6 through 10 or on 11. If you have 3 access points, put, say, the first one on channel 1, the second one on channel 6, and the third one on channel 11. I like to use the later channel quite often, like channel 11 or channel 10, because most organizations will usually opt for a lower number. They'll opt for 1 or 2 or 3. So I'll go with a higher number to stay farther away frequency-wise and lower the interference altogether. So that is the 2.4 gigahertz range. But more and more, you're going to be dealing with the 5 gigahertz ranges, especially with 802.11 AC. And so we have various ranges here. We have 36, 40, 44, and 48, which equate to frequency ranges 5180 through 5240 megahertz. And then you have another whole group here, 52, 56 through 116, then 132 through 144, and then 149 through 165. Now, there's a lot of gaps in here, and that's because there's military and there's government applications using various frequencies within 5 gigahertz. And really, most of the typical wireless access points are only going to give you this set of frequencies and this set of frequencies. One of the good things about 5 gigahertz is all these frequencies run individually. They don't overlap the way that, say, channel 1 and channel 2 on a 2.4 gigahertz wireless network would overlap. You don't have to worry about that. You could run one wireless access point on 36 and one on 40 and one on 48. But once again, as a tech, I like to kind of go with the later ones, like 157, 161, 165, because chances are neighboring companies and organizations will be using lower numbers. And so I'll go with the higher numbers just to stay away as far as possible frequency-wise and reduce that possibility of interference. So we'll take a quick look at our device here. This is our wireless access point. Here's the 2.4 network, and you can see the channel used is 11. You could set it to auto, but generally, again, I'd recommend selecting a channel, and then you have to have all your wireless clients connect on that channel. And again, I like to use 11, but if you're on 2.4, make sure it's, your first wireless access point will be between 1 and 5, the second one between 6 and 10, and the third on 11. And if you go beyond that many, well, then you have to start getting creative. Or you could use 5 gigahertz networks if possible. Now, you'll also see channel width. That's set to auto, but you could increase that to 40 megahertz. If you double the channel width, you're going to increase the entire wireless range. So the overlap actually gets bigger. So you have to watch out for that as well. In that case, you might want to just run one access point on 1 and the second access point on 11 if possible. Keep them as far apart as you can frequency-wise. On the 5 gigahertz portion of the wireless access point, you see I'm using the last channel available, at least in the US, and that's 165. And you'll see that we have options for 36, 40, 44, 48, and that was that first range of channels. And then 149 through 165, that was that last range of channels that we showed. And so we're using 165 for this, the last one on the list, again, to keep it as far away from the typical organization that's using the lower frequency, like 36 or 40. And so again, keep in mind on the 5 gigahertz side, this group and this group are going to be the most common for usage on 802.11 AC networks, but also N networks that operate at 5 gigahertz and A networks that operate at 5 gigahertz. So there's a little bit about wireless channels. Make sure you know the 3 ranges for 2.4 and understand that you can, in the United States at least, you can use the 5 gigahertz channels starting at 36, going all the way up to 165. But again, the standards that you'll use are this group, 36 through 48, and this group, 149 through 165. And keep in mind, there's gaps every 4 channels. So you'd use 149, 153, 157, 161. And then there's other gaps, you know, between, say, 116 and 132. You can't use any of those channels ever because those are used by government, military applications, that kind of thing. And again, the most common for SOHO routers and wireless access points is this group and this group as far as the channels go.